Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. So we're going to be dealing now with styling in Next.js. So as you can see, everything kind of look dull and boring right now, but we can spice that up in a second. Now we're going to be dealing in this crash course with CSS modules, styled by JSX and Tailwind. Now there's other ways obviously to style your app. Now in this case, you can use CSS in JavaScript, quite powerful in itself. Or you can use Bootstrap, etc. But I'm not going to cover this in this course right here. Now, let's get started. All right, so let's go to our global CSS right here. So you can obviously create your styles in here. Every single thing that you need for your page. But that is not recommended, just my personal opinion, and I think many others would say the same thing as well. So you can obviously add all your style sheets in here, but they kind of defeat the purpose of being a component-based orientated app. Meaning you can go find anything and you can style everything quickly and you can build out your app very quickly. So if I need to go and style a page, I just go to its module and basically work on it. All right, let me kind of demonstrate our global CSS right here. So as you can see, there's no padding. If I want to add some padding, so let me just add some 1rem padding. As you can see, it affects all the different pages. So if I go to all the pages right here, as you can see, it affects them all. Now, let's say I want to style this H1 right here. So I can go down here and put the H1. And let's say we just want to change the color to maybe, let's just use 32, CD 32. So this is just kind of a lime color. So as you can see, it affects that as well on all the different pages. The reason for that is because in our app.js right here, we're making sure we're using the import, basically the global style sheet like this. Okay, so that's why it affects all the different pages. But this is not the way I recommend it. The global style sheet is just there basically to reset all the margins, the padding and the margins. So basically by default, let me just show you, by default, your browser automatically add all different styling and padding to the body by itself, and that kind of influence your CSS. All right, so let me just do this. So then it just kind of resets everything, and you can obviously add the font family and all that kind of stuff in here as well. So what you will normally do is you will import the basically your Google fonts in here and just kind of the default stuff that you want to use. All right, so as you can see, all that kind of stuff. So box sizing for border box, just the plain CSS stuff right here. Now this goes to the next part. So let's quickly see how we can use CSS modules in Next.js. I'm just going to delete this one right here, and we're going to work with the index on this page right here. So if we go to the home page, the index. So I want to basically create a style sheet that is particular to this page right here. So how do I do that? So in order to do that, we make use of modules, CSS modules. So we're just going to create a new file, or you can do it one of two ways. Just click on that and you just basically click this file icon. So in here, the convention is capitalize, right? So index. And now this part is important. If you don't add the module in here, it's not going to work. So you have to add index.module.css like this. So now we got our CSS file open right here. Now this file, obviously, if we haven't linked it up yet, so before we can use it, we need to link it up. But let's quickly do a couple of gotchas in here. You cannot use your normal tags in here. So if you want to start, like you remember from the global CSS, we reference the tags itself, but you cannot do that in your modules. You can do whatever you want, but if you're going to have some errors, you will know why. So, all right, so you cannot mention that of any tag, so either main tag or anything like that. You have to use a class, all right, so a title or an ID, so title like this. You have to use these in here. So they just gotchas for you, okay? So let's start off with our first basically class right here. So we got a title, all right, and what we want to do with the title is we want to give it the same thing. So I'm just going to give it a color of the 32 CD 32. All right, so that's basically the title right there. Now the thing is, what we do is, in order to make use of this module, we go to our index.js, this component right here. So we obviously have to bring in that module. So we just want to say import. Now this part is important. This is just a convention. You add styles right here. All right, from. All right, so obviously where you want that module to come from. Now remember, we're inside a folder right here. So in order to go outside the folder, we just add 2 double dots / Okay, so then we're out of the folder. Then we just want to go to the styles folder. And inside that, we just want to go to that index.module.css. Now I just want to make this right, put an M right there, and obviously end it off with a semicolon right there. So now we imported that style sheet. So we imported this right here. So let's go to our index again. Now, in order to make use of these styles, all right, you would have, this is JSX, remember, it's not HTML. All right, it looks like it. You can treat it as such, but it is not. All right, so if you thought you can add the class in here, please, you cannot do that because class is a reserved name for JavaScript. All right, so what do we do then? We make use of this word right here, class name. All right, so we can just remove the double quotes from there. Now, in order to work with it, we treat it an object, not that, curly braces. Now, the curly braces, then we go to the styles right here. So then we type in this styles right here. As you can see, it highlights it now because we're going to make use of it. And then we just put a dot notation, and then we access their title like that. So basically referencing this class name like this. All right, so let me just give us some room here so that you can easily see that. As you can see, it changes it right here. Okay, so that's how you do it. Now remember, in CSS, you will normally use kebab case. So if we go to, let's say we had another class name called main title, all right, like this. So let me just copy this part right here and move it in here. And I'm just going to comment this one out. So main title right there. So if you want to go and do basically in your class name right here and you want to access that main title, you will see that you get an error. So title is not defined, okay, because you cannot do that in here. So how do we do that? We just remove the dot and we're going to put some brackets around it, square brackets like that. Okay, so if I save that, obviously this needs to be with parentheses, just like that. All right, so if you have a big kebab case inside your modules, just make sure that you add it with square brackets. Otherwise, it's not going to read it. You're going to get an error. So as you can see, our home page is working right there. So if I go to all the other pages, you can see it doesn't affect any of that styles. The reason for that is, let's open F12, our DevTools right here. So let's quickly go to this title right here. So if we go to the title, you will see with modules, it will give them a unique class name. So as you can see, index.main, all right, and then it adds a unique ID. So it means we can use the same class name for all other different components. It will not affect each other because they will be assigned a unique ID. And that's quite powerful because if you have different pages, let's say all the titles you want to be the same, obviously it doesn't make sense to go and retype like the drive principle, don't repeat yourself. So that you can do obviously in a global style sheet or in your main style sheet. So if you want the titles to be the same, but now what you can do is instead of having to think out a whole different class names, you can actually just use the same class name for the different modules. All right, so that's basically our main title right there. So that's basically how you can deal with modules. Now, in this case, let me just close this off. Now, let me quickly style the paragraph, and I'm just going to say subtitle, just like as an example. So let me just remove this quickly. All right, so I created a subtitle and the title right there. So in here, what I will do now is I will just put the dot title. All right, so as you can see, it changes right there. And for the paragraph tag, what I will do now is I will just add a class name. And I will just add that right there. Okay, so this will be the styles. Give us some room here so that we can easily see it because I'm zoomed in a bit so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So as you can see, this is wrong. This needs to be styles and it will just be subtitle right there. right? So if I do that, you can see it affects it right there, right? So that's basically how we can add modules. Now, the other way that we can do it, as you can see, I'm doing it right now in the style sheet. So I'm not going to do that for all the pages. I just want you guys to know the basics. Now, the other way is to actually, let's say we go to our components right now. So as you can see, I got a nav right here. What I would have normally done, I will create a folder and I would have called this one nav. They can be kebab. Let's just make like this nav, and inside here I'm just going to say main nav or something, so main.js. all right, and I would copy this over. So let me just do this inside here. Then inside this folder I would create a module. Basically for this one I'm just going to call this one main.module.css. Right, just an example. I'm just doing rough work right now. So inside here, so now I will create for my main nav right here. So this one right here, I would basically create whatever styles I need for this one. And then basically when I import that, I will just say import styles. So that's the convention, okay, from, and then I just go inside this folder and I'm just going to go to the main.module.css. All right, so basically that's how I would have treated it. Okay, so that's enough about the modules. So I'll just kind of give you guys some examples so that we can learn how to actually add all our different styling. All right, so that's the modules part. So what I will do in the next episode, we will deal with basically style JSX. So I'll see you guys there. And if you have any questions, please ask them for me in the comment section, or if you want me to expand on the modules, then please let me know in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.